Oh gosh. Hello, world. It's me, Riley Soliner. Welcome once again to Clash Clown, the podcast where I talk about clown, but it's not funny. Love it. Okay, let's jump right back to 2006. It's summer. I'm at Camp Winter Rainbow. I've just graduated high school. I'm going to spend all summer at camp. And then I'm going to come home and I think I'm going to work at a preschool. That doesn't quite matter. The point is, I think it's a session break between the time that the kids are actually in the camp. So it's just time to goof around with my friends on the staff. And it's been a few years since I have gone into the costume barn, found the laser tag vest that I would put on and just decide I was a robot. I was Robot Riley, the robot Riley built. And this was such a fun, exciting activity. Just staying in character all day. For whenever I had the Robot Riley power vest on, I was in character. I was Robot Riley. So I wanted to walk into the costume barn and find something similar on this day. And I found a short sleeve black button down shirt with fruit printed all over it. And I said, "Oh yeah, this looks like something I would wear." And then I found a pair of sunglasses and they were I don't know why I thought I guess they looked kind of obnoxious or just something maybe I would feel uncomfortable wearing, but I went, "Oh yeah, this shirt plus these sunglasses equals vacation." Okay, vacation. What's a word that rhymes with what's a name that rhymes with vacation? Well, Jason almost rhymes. Vacation Jason. That's funny in and of itself. To me, yeah, this name that almost rhymes. Okay, now I just got to find one of my friends and annoy him and come up with some jokes by annoying my friend. And that is where I came up with Vacation Jason, a comedy character that I've taken all over the country, inconceivably, a character that has developed its own lore and people have made fan art. I've done all kinds of crazy art projects and shows with this character. I guess let's quickly jump to 2011 when I've since moved to New York, become the ultra dedicated super fan of the Chris Gethard show at the UCB. And now I'm on a road trip with the cast of the Chris Gethard show. My dreams have come true. And even more inconceivably than that, I'm on stage as uh, I've basically mob rule has dictated at this Chris Gethard show in Austin, Texas that they demand that I return on stage as Vacation Jason for an encore. And I have no material. And it's just time for me to go and do the thing. Let's flash forward again a few years, maybe 2015, 2016. I'm in a wrestling ring as Vacation Jason facing off against my one of my childhood heroes of the wrestling world. It's not Mick Foley. We've already talked about the time I've worked with Mick Foley, which is insane, but I'll get to but the fact that I've had more than one encounters with professional wrestlers that I grew up watching, yeah, Vacation Jason brought me there. And also on stage with one of my heroes of music. We'll get to that too. So, this has just kind of been a foolish character that I've embodied that has helped me make some pretty silly dreams come true. And, yeah, I kind of was putting off doing an episode like this. I feel like I've talked about Vacation Jason so much. I feel like, is there anything else left for me to say? I feel like, shouldn't I shut up about this thing that I did years ago? But this character and the work that I've done as Vacation Jason intersects with so many of the things that I've already talked about on this show, and so many of the things that I think hold true when it comes to my philosophy and approach to clowning, even before I understood what I was doing was kind of a clown act. So I want to dive into that a little bit and see if I can say anything that I haven't already said about Vacation Jason. Okay. The first joke, the first Vacation Jason joke was me going up to my friends and saying, "I'm Vacation Jason and I like to rhyme. How often? All the days." And then what was the second joke? The second joke was me taking selfies at different locations around camp and just showing, this is back when we had digital cameras with little screens on them. And I would show the pictures that I took to my friends. I'd be like, "Jordan, Jordan, Jordan, come here. I got something to show you. I want to show you the pictures that I took on my latest vacation." And it would be a picture of me taking a selfie, I don't know, at the kitchen, right? But I'd say, "No, this is me in Rome. This was amazing." Or, and then a picture of me at the creek at camp. "No, this is a picture of me in Fiji." Just lies, lies, lies. And just being so enthusiastic, so confident in the lie that, it just became this buoyant attitude of ultimate confidence. And it's funny how maybe I've mentioned this before in the podcast, but I came up with the Robot Riley character, and I just decided, okay, well, robots, they speak like this, they move like this, and pretty soon friends would notice, "Riley, you they wouldn't say it like this, but Riley, you have scoliosis, you have kind of a hunchback thing going on, you kind of, you know, um, curl up like a shrimp." And but we noticed when you walk around as Robot Riley, you walk upright for hours. And I'm so glad someone pointed it out to me, because I didn't realize that how much commitment and dedication to a performance would lock me into a different mode of movement and carrying myself. Makes sense. And I guess there's a similar thing. I'm sure most of the people listening to this are familiar with Connor Ratliff. He's an incredible, if you don't know Connor Ratliff, oh my God, look up. I mean, he's a character actor and he's one of the best improvisers in New York City. And he's a friend of mine that I came up with in the UCB improv world. But he would remark to me years after I came up with the character, you play with such confidence. I don't know how you do it. And um, me, out of character, I think I probably said something like, "I don't know how I do it either." There's something about choosing the ridiculousness, choosing the outlandishness of the character, and the inherent irony that I saw in that I am not this way. I am not always on vacation. I don't dress like this. I've never been around the world. I don't love well, this is let me slow myself down, but I don't love myself the way this character loves himself, right? I'm not exuberant, I'm not supremely confident in this way, and I see that as inherently comedic, ridiculous, not like myself. And so part of the joke here, if you know me, is that this is not me. And because I know this not to be me, somehow I'm able to know what to say. I know how to react because all I have to do is go, well, this is so not me that this is how Vacation Jason would react. And I think that's where so much of the character came from. And just observing confident performers, outlandish performers, and the corny, uh, unsustainable, unrealistic trope of, the surfer dude, the tourist, the guy who likes being on vacation. Maybe maybe here's where I admit I'm not very good at being on vacation, right? Is that a groundbreaking discovery? Is that a scoop? Yes. So if you don't know, Vacation Jason, it's me wearing a Hawaiian print shirt. For years, I wore a shirt with like this pattern of white tigers pouncing through a rushing river, and then I went with a more like, Hawaiian style floral print kind of corny thing, but it's always a collared shirt, a flower, like a plastic flower lei, usually a pink plastic flower lei, and shorts, board shorts, baggy shorts, or a bathing suit, bare feet. It's very important that Vacation Jason is always walking around with no shoes. That's a huge part of his lifestyle philosophy. And on his face, sunglasses, round lenses. I don't know. Like maybe if someone's trying to perfect the cosplay, but they only have access to this podcast. I don't know. But then, of course, on my nose, the OPL, the Ocean Potion Lotion, the white zinc oxide. Don't use sunscreen, use zinc oxide because the zinc oxide won't sink into your skin after a while. It stays white like a big dollop of whipped cream on a strawberry, right on the tip of the nose, not all the way up the bridge of the nose, but like a clown nose, just over the nostrils and the tip of the nose and the underside of the nose, right? And it was years later that I realized that this Ocean Potion lotion and this ritual of putting on the zinc oxide on my face as I was getting ready to do Vacation Jason was like putting on a clown nose, but instead of the nose being red, this was my white nosed clown, and it just happened to fit with the trope of the uh, the obnoxious touristy guy in a tropical location, thinking he's blending in, thinking that he is assimilating into this culture with a very shallow, artificial, manicured tourist experience. But he's the real deal version of that. And so it's funny that I mean, it's funny to me. It's funny looking back that these are things that I find obnoxious. These are things that I found ripe for satirizing and, kind of monkey's paw, finger curling, wish fulfillment. It's like, oh, these become the things that become my calling card. These are the things that I become known for. The things that I don't think people should act like this, but well, I chose to act like this, and now people know me for acting like this. Huh. Gotta be careful. Yeah, I took a lot of cues from, I mean, what? I was 18 at the time. I was watching a lot of television, and can you blame me for loving VH1's Flavor of Love and loving, loving, loving Flavor Flav, the clownish hype man for Chuck D in Public Enemy? Um, Getting into stand-up comedy and just really becoming interested and enamored in like animated, hyper confident, like confrontational with the audience stand-up comedians. I mean, look no further than Bernie Mac's debut performance um on Def Comedy Jam. And and then of course 18 years old, perfect age for a nerdy suburban white kid to become obsessed with the Wu-Tang Clan, the 9-member East Coast gangster rap group that revolutionized the music industry by creating this alternate universe where Staten Island, where most of the members of the group are from, is also the land of the origin of Shaolin Kung Fu. So and Wu Tang sword style. So their rap skills are an analogy for their sharp swordsmanship. Okay, like it was like a comic book in music form that you could just delve into. So yeah, what I was doing as Vacation Jason, was kind of giving myself permission to act like all of the black entertainers that I, wish I could have been, right? And like a lot of nerdy white guys, I go, "Well, I'm a nerd, so that makes it okay for me to rap and okay for me to speak in this accent that isn't mine." And it's all kind of encased in this self-generated protective bubble of like, "Well, no, 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 you see, I'm doing it ironically because everyone knows that's not me. No, 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 it's ironic because I'm aware, everyone here is aware that I am a nerd who doesn't fit in here. No, 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 it's okay because, um, I'm there's a layer of satirizing another obnoxious thing. No, no, this obnoxious character would act this way. I wouldn't act this way, right? I think I've done my best since my early years of doing this character to not do an accent that is disrespectful to people who speak that way. I've done my best to like when I've released fucking rap music, I've made a mixtape as Vacation Jason. I've done my best to in the music I've made since, even if I'm appropriating a black art form, I'm trying not to rap as someone other than myself. And it's this young man nerd thing where like I feel like being in on the joke is enough for me to say the thing or to act the way. But and I don't think I've really received pushback or notes on like, hey, you should tone it down in these ways. This has mostly been like a overly cautious, uh, you know, Jewish guilt artist type thing where I'm like, I should probably cut this out. And I'm glad that I did. But man, I wasn't expecting to go there, but that's probably worth mentioning, I think. Gosh, where are we? I was talking about Ocean Potion Lotion a minute ago. All right. Um, so after I came up with Vacation Jason at Camp on a Rainbow, a couple years later, I moved to New York and I'm taking classes at UCB. And very quickly, it dawns on me as it dawns on a lot of people that like, geez, there just isn't very much room for another guy who looks like me on this stage. You either have to be incredibly obsessed and dedicated and present at all times in dedication to this art form and this theater specifically, which I was. But it seems like people are getting noticed or making friends if they don't just try to fit in doing the improv thing, but make their own stuff. So I had made YouTube videos before I moved to New York. I was doing these sketch comedy, just solo character videos, kind of at the advent of YouTube. And it became, I called it going crazy to keep from going crazy. I had this job. I had a job at a preschool. Then the next year I had a job at a after school program, and it was stressing me out. And so on weekends, I would take walks. I'm still living in I'm jumping around here. I'm living in Albany, California, in the East Bay, where I grew up at the time. I'm 19 years old. This is before I moved to New York, and I would take a weekly walk all the way to Amoeba Records in Berkeley. I would buy CDs, and then I would walk home and I would talk to myself, and I would just try to make myself laugh with voices and characters and jokes that these characters would tell. And that was the start of my YouTube channel. Was every week I tried to make a YouTube video. And in retrospect, I didn't really notice at the time, but all of these videos that I made, the characters were projecting that they were happy to be making a video. They were happy. They had some kind of hook, some kind of costume, some kind of thing about them. And the structure of the video would basically be there'd be a crack in the veneer. They would say something wrong or something would dawn on them or an external circumstance would piss them off. And then you would just watch this character devolve into the act has been unmasked. And so that was kind of the beginning of me doing sketch comedy and realizing, oh, I don't have to just go to these miserable stand-up open mics and speak as myself. I can do the thing that I already like doing. I can be Robot Riley. I can be all of these new characters that I would come up with that were um they were a way for me to say to strangers through the camera, I'm lonely. A lot of my characters, their problem was loneliness. I think the first video doing a really bad job at ventriloquism and then talking about how ventriloquism was my was a cover for how lonely I was. But then I did other characters where well, I wrote a theme song for a fake Robot Riley, I guess like Saturday morning cartoon where Professor Riley had built Robot Riley as a cure to loneliness. And then there was one of my favorite videos I did was some dystopian sci-fi character sending a message back to the past, and the only artifact that he had from a past world was this bag of mandarin oranges, cuties, cutie brand mandarin oranges. And then he would talk about how lonely he was in this robotic dystopian future. Yeah, loneliness and the cracks in the veneer. I had another character, Count Leonardo's House of Horrors, and it was House of Horrors Bar and Grill, and all of the dishes were bad horror puns. Can I remember off the Frankenwine was on the drink menu. Um, God, and and so on. I don't need to list them right here. But he just breaks down crying at the end of the video because how stupid this restaurant idea was, and he's totally fucked. So anyway, I made those videos, and that kind of boosted my confidence and made me think that like, well, I've visited New York. I saw this incredible improv show that made me want to move there. I think I could do this. And I did that, and things got pretty hard pretty quickly because I was 20 years old trying to live in New York on my own. And I remember walking in Union Square Station one night, walking to the 4 train to take it home to Brooklyn. And with every footstep, I just started saying, coconut, berry, lemon, tree. Coconut, berry, lemon, tree. And after I kind of caught myself and realized what I was doing and kind of realized that it was similar to the way I would talk to myself on these Amoeba Records walks, I went, "Oh, that kinda sounds like something Vacation Jason would say." Or that sounds like that became, "Oh, if I do a video with Vacation Jason, he would probably be promoting his hip hop mixtape." And that would be the name of the mixtape is Coconut Berry Lemon Tree. And I just kinda kept that in my head. And then I guess what, it's like 2009, 2010 that I'm taking improv classes while also trying to think of a way that I could. I mean, I had wanted to get back to doing these videos, and I was self-conscious now because I had roommates in the other room, and they were totally they knew why I had moved to New York. I had shown them my videos, but I was very self-conscious about making. I had finally decided, you know what? I'm gonna make instead of doing one character, one video, I wanna make 10 Vacation Jason videos. And one of them was Vacation Jason promoting the fictional Coconut Berry Lemon Tree mixtape. But here's an interesting detail that I've never told anyone. As much as I've built the lore around Vacation Jason, here's another here's another lore drop. The first ever Vacation Jason video I made is, I guess it was like subconsciously based on a very true story. So the video is me introducing myself, or maybe I'm like giving tips on how to do vacations right because I'm the world's number one vacation expert. Again, confidence, supreme confidence. And then the crack in the veneer is that this video isn't for everybody. It's just for you, Emily. And I start talking about this breakup and how could you? And you left me alone on a cruise ship. How do you even do that? Well, the truth is, when I was 16, I had a girlfriend, my first girlfriend. She went away with her family on a holiday cruise in December, and she came back after thinking things over, and she broke up with me. And oh, of course, I was devastated. I'm 16 years old. I'm gonna be devastated by being broken up with, right? And I guess in the back of my mind, just cooking, simmering for years, I'm going, what is a cruise anyway? What's so great about cruises, you know? What is it about a cruise that would make my girlfriend want to break up with me? So, that was just kind of, I didn't even put two and two together for years after I made the video where I'm calling out, her name's not Emily, but I decided that Emily was the name of Vacation Jason's ex-girlfriend. And so that's the crack in the veneer. Vacation Jason just flipping out over uh of like what was actually a real thing. But I didn't even realize at the time how, like, again, like, in this I'm now putting, this is something I'm now putting together just talking this out. But in the same way, I found a way to find comfort telling strangers on the internet I'm lonely. Here I am working out uh, a years after the fact heartbreak through another ridiculous character. The mind, the brain is a weird thing. Subconscious is a weird thing. It just kind of had to come out in this way. And I guess for me, long before I even understood what Sue Morrison and Richard Pachinko do with their work as clowns, which I'll get into later, I guess. I was coming up with ridiculous characters with ridiculous ways of moving and talking and living, and allowing my real complicated feelings to be filtered through the performance, through their lines. And that's I guess that's art, baby. Where do I want to go from here? I mean, I'm going to start including links in the info for my podcasts. I'll go back and put links to other stuff that I've mentioned in other episodes. And this is me telling you I'm going to do that, so I'm going to do that. Haha. But in the info for this one, there's going to be a link to a different interview that I did a couple years ago with Jersey Dave. And this was on a thing called Planet Scum, which was the Twitch channel that Chris Gethard started during the pandemic. And we did a thing called Saturday Not Live, where we took a look at some old video footage and talked about it. But I did a long video interview about some of this stuff that I'm about to talk about. So I'm just going to briefly touch on some of the things to worth mentioning here. But doing Vacation Jason videos on YouTube led to me doing the character live in New York. And this was, I have a note here. It says the relative ease of character performing. Relative to what? Relative to getting on stage and trying to tell jokes in a more conventional stand-up comedy storytelling kind of way. I just love playing characters. I love performers who play characters, and I've just been inspired by them for as long as I can remember enjoying comedy. So it and also like there's the again, like the shield, the creative shield of like I'm playing a corny character, therefore I'm giving myself the authority to tell corny jokes. And if the joke makes you laugh, okay, but also just the audacity for me to tell a joke this corny is part of the fun here. And the confidence that I have in telling this joke is floating my whole ability to even stand on stage and do this. Um, so performing the character live led to, um, I guess, just building a reputation of like Riley's got a bit. Riley has a bit that he can do on the show. And this led to a couple different things at, I guess, going on simultaneously. There was me consistently plugging, promoting the idea that, okay, not this summer, but next summer, Coconut Berry Lemon Tree, the mixtape, is coming out for real. As just, another rapper trope of like, hey, I got a mixtape coming out, and I just found it so cute and clever that this character would have a mixtape eventually coming out, not this summer, but next summer because he's always on vacation. You know the deal. The other thing that was going on concurrently was I was a mega fan of the Chris Gethard show, never missed an episode when it was at UCB. And I was just kind of like hoping, wishing, waiting for a moment to make my presence known on this show with this cast of comedians. And that came in the form of Gethard, always someone to get people who are dedicated involved in his thing. He word had gotten around that I had been to every show, and the year anniversary show was coming up. And so he invited me to host the 1 year anniversary show. And that was this whole huge deal. I can't even get into all that, but it ended with him surprising me with inviting me onto the RV for the road trip, the cross country road trip that the Chris Gethard show was doing together. This was a Kickstarter funded, making documentary videos all along the way project where they were going to travel from the UCB in New York to the UCB theater in LA. And if you contributed enough money on the Kickstarter, this was something for comedy venues to do. We would do a show and it would become a tour, a Kickstarter funded tour all along the way to the West Coast. So suddenly, I'm now involved in this thing with these underground comedians that I'm crazy about, and I'm super seeking their approval and their camaraderie. I'm now doing a tour with them, going from New York up to Boston, down to, I guess we went to DC, Virginia, North Carolina, Texas. Man, we made some stops in Las Vegas and then LA. And we did it in like 12 days. And I had an original bit for the show. Like I'm a 21, 22-year-old guy and like I'll give you my phone, you could text whoever you want from my phone. And it was embarrassing and kind of stupid. It fit with the theme of like, exposing yourself and putting yourself out there and kind of leaving the chaos of leaving, the chaos of the audience, kind of leaving your fate in their hands kind of thing. It just wasn't hitting very well. And I was just I wasn't cut out for that. But um, so much of the Chris Gethard show from its inception was about the show's host, Chris, and the chaos that would erupt around him and his inability to control it and the disrespect that the guests would show him. He was you know, nebbish and unsure of himself and 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 anxiety ridden, and so it just fit that everyone on the show would dunk on him or antagonize him or turn the show against him when, the host is usually a host, So I knew that I could I could sell in a kind of annoying way, the same way I annoyed my friends when I came up with this character at Camp Winter Rainbow. I could send Gethard a link to the Vacation Jason YouTube videos. And when he wrote back, this is legitimately annoying. And if you do this on the RV, somebody's going to knock you out. I knew from that moment, like, yeah, maybe it hurts my feelings short term right in the moment, but it's like I can be I think I used the phrase villain in my head. I'm like, okay, well, I'm the villain here. It's like I Will Hines, another improviser at UCB, member of the original iteration of the Gethard show, had this, and they had this onstage antagonistic relationship too. Gethard would say, "I'm going to bring Will Hines out here, but he's not funny." And I just knew that Vacation Jason could fit in a similar vein of like, this is not funny, and I could just found it funny that this tropical dude who doesn't wear shoes and always wears sunglasses is going to be on a road trip through, mainland North America during, in January, right? It just the incongruence there, right? So anyway, long story short, I keep pestering Gethard and everybody else, like, you're gonna love this character. This is a funny character that has depth and so many different ways to do it. And finally, once we got to Virginia, we're crashing in somebody's living room, and I just made one too many Vacation Jason jokes that broke the camel's back, and they said, "Fine, um, go put the costume on or whatever, and do the character for us. We're not gonna laugh, and then that'll be that." And this is okay. You want a clown vocabulary recap? This was a flop moment for me. This was me flopping in front of my heroes for about 10 minutes. I did it because I didn't really have much of an act with Vacation Jason, but I did around 10 minutes improvised of Vacation Jason stand up, and none of it was hitting. I mean, they were intentionally holding in laughter to ice me, but it was a real trial by fire until I finally broke them. I finally broke them. I have video footage that I cherish of me finally breaking the cast of the Chris Gethard show, and Gethard at the end of it saying, "Okay, I no longer hate Vacation Jason." That was such a huge deal to me. And I mean, I had no way of hiding that that was a huge deal at 20 years old for these comedy nerds that I adored. And by the time we got to North Carolina, Gethard had made the decision that, okay, you can do Vacation Jason as like an opening act for the show. And it was like a kind of a wrestling kayfabe, but also just, you know, setting this fool up for failure, which subliminally we're setting him up for success in the way that he would tell a little story about how we have this guy Riley. He's doing this bit. We don't find it funny. Maybe you will. And then I would go on stage with my terrible jokes, but my enthusiasm for these terrible jokes, and it would start to win people over all the way to Austin, Texas, where for reasons that, like, if you want to look up the video, like, things were quickly falling apart on this road trip. We arrived in two separate groups to this venue in Austin, Texas, and I kind of stumble through my bit because I have this cold that is just taking over my body. The rest of the show goes pretty good, but then this rowdy vocal Austin, Texas crowd, they start ironically asking for a Vacation Jason encore, which then turns into a genuine enthusiasm for an encore, and so I had no choice but to change back into costume and click into it. And when I did, this is another example of just like I'm tricking myself into believing I'm as confident as this character was. And with no material, I'm what am I doing on stage? I'm promoting the mixtape. I'm I'm interacting with the audience as if I don't give a fuck what they're thinking. I'm making fun of the rest of the cast of the show. I'm I'm just recapping my favorite episode of Battlestar Galactica, which I was obsessed with at the time. I'm rapping my favorite Wu-Tang Clan member Inspector Deck's verses from my favorite songs featuring Inspector Deck, and I'm holding the largest crowd that I've ever been in front of with nothing but the confidence of this this two-dimensional character, and it was such a sweet victory, and I kind of had a reputation for doing that character after that. So later in 2011, the Chris Gethard show moves from UCB Theater to public access TV. And in the shift, Gethard very calmly, well, I don't know if he was calm at the time, but he did give me a phone call and he was trying to be as compassionate as possible. And I understand where he's coming from. But he told me he didn't want me doing Vacation Jason on the show, on this version of the show. And to, you're welcome to try to come up with something new, but we want to go in a different direction. And that hurt because it worked so well. And also because uh, knowing Gethard's, the lineage of his comedic inspiration, Andy Kaufman, Conan O'Brien, David Letterman, there are silly characters baked into all of that. So it just seemed so natural to be the kind of, late night with Conan O'Brien style character that waltzes in, interrupts what the host is doing, does their own thing, and leaves. And I was so excited to do that until I got that phone call. But this show was a live call in show. And so I would prank call this show as Vacation Jason. I would say, I'm Jason from Staten Island. And Gethard would go, "Oh, we love people from Staten Island. What's up, Jason?" And I go, "Actually, it's Vacation Jason." And then he would hang up on me. So already there's this mystique being built with, this character who hasn't appeared on the show yet. And then being who he is with the show that he has, Chris decides to put on an episode called Ruin This Show, which was like an open mic style thing where anybody from New York could come to the studio, walk on stage, grab the microphone, and try to ruin the show. And so I came to the studio dressed as Vacation Jason, and I had a list of the bit was my New Year's resolutions. And I just, again, found a level of confidence that I just don't normally have when I'm performing as myself. But I'll shout into the mic. I'll be quick on my feet with a retort. I will. I'll answer to the joke not working with another joke, and 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 then I kind of from there earned in quotes, but I don't know, man. I mean, if you've seen what I've done since what I had done after that point on the Gethard show, I kind of earned my spot back with this character that people enjoyed seeing. It became this thing where, as the show evolved, I could say a line like, "Did somebody say vacation?" from backstage, and people would go, "Oh, this is an episode where Vacation Jason is here. Yay." It was like a postmodern kind of the Fonz moment where it's like we're cheering at the idea of having a character to cheer for. Eh, or maybe I'm not giving myself enough credit. Maybe people were just genuinely excited to see my character. Can I accept that? Yeah. All right. What else is going on? I mean, yeah, ruin this show. And then also I fucking did it. Like I made coconut berry lemon tree. I taught myself enough, wrote the lyrics, and I made just a song called Vacation. I made a song called Fruit, which is just a song about me eating my favorite fruits, very true to life. If you know me, you know that I love to eat fruit. And then, of course, we gotta talk about the song "Island Girl" and the UCB show. I wrote and I starred in, uh, the UCB theater one-man show, Vacation Jason's Island Flavors. And this was at a time when, it was very en vogue to come up with, like, a one-person sketch comedy review at UCB theater if you were kind of, like, higher on the pecking order, maybe if you had an audition for a live sketch comedy show that happened on Saturday nights in New York City, and to kind of show people what you got in anticipation for that audition, maybe to secure an audition, you would do, like, a half hour of all these different funny characters you did, and it got kind of tired fast. I mean, certain very talented people did that form very well, but to see person after person after person at UCB just do character after character after character, and part of the joke and part of the thing that made people go, "I don't know if this is a good idea, Riley. I don't think this is gonna work," was I was going, "No, no, I'm not gonna do 5 or 6 characters in a half hour. It's gonna be just all Vacation Jason doing a show." And I worked really hard with Frank Garcia Hale, who, directed that show, and it became a show. And, did my corny stand-up up top. I did a sketch with, like, some, uh it was like a game show parody that I wrote in, sketch comedy class at UCB. Um, what else? I did a character bit, so I explain what a character bit is to the audience like they don't know. A char and then I performed a song. I would do a serenade to a lucky lady in the audience. This song called "Island Girl," where I would accidentally say the name Emily instead of the girl's name and go, "I'm sorry, I'm going through a lot right now. I've been going through this breakup." And the next verse would be about how I got broken up with on a cruise ship. And the third verse was about hallucinating and, being eaten by a shark. And I'm lonely and I'm lonely and I'm lonely and I'm lonely. And here comes the loneliness again. And, yeah, yeah, Island Girl, in retrospect, was born out of, me being brokenhearted, over that high school breakup. But yeah, it took me years, and I think smoking a joint with my dad, and him pointing that out to, like, realize, uh, what I had done and what my calling card was built upon psychically. And man, if you're ever smoking a joint with your dad and he drops a bomb like that on you, it's not gonna feel great. Anyway, Kevin Schmevin, the trickster. I forgot to mention, man, there's so much shit about this. Um, Part of why, I mean, besides this character being generated at Camp Winter Rainbow, that already automatically makes this such like a close to my heart endeavor. The fact that I was able to bring this character from Camp Winter Rainbow to the show I was obsessed with in New York City, and for that show to grow into like a television show, and I'm still doing essentially the same character, was such a huge deal. And then with all of this clown experience I've been going on about for weeks now, the nose, the ceremony of the ritual of being a clown, the contrarian, trickster, jester elements. I mean, I didn't look up to anyone more than Chris Gethard. Still, I mean, he's such a close friend and a mentor to me, and his show meant so much. But I knew the right way to be a part of his show was to follow suit and be the antagonist, be the one who can uh, pile the verbal shit onto him and disrespect him in such a cutting way, and to antagonize the audience of the show and be the one who can say that thing. That's, to a lot of clowns, like, that is such a defining characteristic of clown. I mean, I was hyperverbal, so I wouldn't call what I was doing theatrical clown. It wasn't physical comedy. It was a little bit of physical comedy. We'll get into that. But it was largely this this jester's privilege energy. Sometimes I would cross the line in character. We would have to have a talk about it backstage. But that became the kayfabe of me and Chris on the show, is that we hated each other. We were nemesis. And that eventually the logical conclusion of that came all the way after the show had become a show on cable television. And in the second season finale we had for a small defunct cable channel called Fusion, we're facing off in a wrestling match. This was this was a six no an eight and a 4-on-4 tag team match where I had gone crazy. Vacation Jason had gone totally evil, and his wrestling tag team that he was going to utilize to win the match, to gain control of the Chris Gethard show. It was me and two masked wrestlers, the human embodiment of a pineapple and a coconut, played by Pat Buck and Brian Myers, who are now and have been for a long time big deal wrestlers who they own a wrestling school in Long Island, and Pat Buck is a producer on AEW. Brian Myers is a longtime wrestler for TNA. And then the fourth member of my tag team, John Hamm from Mad Men, which was, it was cool to meet him, but I was like so insanely more excited at the time to meet the members of Chris Gethard's tag team, the Good Guys. There's Colt Cabana, legendary comedy wrestler who also revolutionized the business with his t-shirt store, and Rhino, who, I mean, you just got to look up a picture of this guy, legendary ECW wrestler. And then the first wrestler I ever saw on television that made me stop and stop changing the channels, X-Pac, Sean Waltman. And what's even crazier about this is I had gotten into, like vision boards at the time. I was probably reading The Artist's Way for the first time, just torturing myself with, I'm not doing enough art. Oh no. And I had created a vision board, and one of the images that I printed out for the vision board was a picture of X-Pac. And days later, I find out Gethard wants me for the season 2 finale of the Gethard show. It's going to be a wrestling show, and they had already booked X-Pac. In one text message, it was like, whoa. Hey, let me tie this into the death stuff that I was speaking on last week. Remember that? Remember when I talked about my harrowing birth and my deformed body? Well, backstage, I mean, in the whole lead up to this wrestling episode, we're wondering what Vacation Jason's wrestling costume is going to be, because it's got to be something ridiculous and villainous, right? And I'm going, well, how about we just put me in like a sleeveless shirt, because I'm not comfortable with my body. I could just wear what I normally wear, but a sleeveless shirt instead of, you know. Now, like, it'd actually be really great if you wore this sparkly pink Speedo and nothing else. And I did not want to wear that. I wanted to keep the shirt on, because I got this belly that's stretched out and deformed from my birth, and the scars too. I don't want that on television, right? But again, here's this character that is the opposite of me, opposite confidence level of me. And, if I just take a breath and then just dive out into the abyss of, I'll find the confidence. I'll find myself in doing this. It did take Colt Cabana saying, it would be cooler if you weren't wearing the shirt. And it was so much funnier because I'm just such a skinny, oddly shaped dude that it was like, yeah, this is, if I play into it with a malicious confidence of a wrestling heel, then it works. It worked, scoliosis and deformed abdomen and all. And we did the wrestling match, and just being a nerd and just loving to indulge in the villainous behavior of the wrestling tropes, I just, there's these moments, either planned or improvised, where it's just like, we are fully cooking here. we're doing a well-produced wrestling match for the season finale of this experimental call-in talk show. It was insane. And, we get backstage and Colt Cabana asks me, "Well, what was the thing that made me decide to not wear the shirt and just go all out with it?" And then I told a quick story about the birth and just, like, how this felt like an opportunity to own this, to own this thing that I'd been so self-conscious about my whole life. And there's like a little silence, and X-Pac of all people just goes, "Fuck yeah, man." And that was it. That was all of it. But to be validated by X-Pac in this moment, like, my mind is blown. Man, what else? What else? Where even are we? God. Um, okay. The Gethard Show goes on for a couple more seasons on True TV, right? I mean, I think I tell this story elsewhere. I'll find a way to track it down, but I've already told you I've been obsessed with the Wu-Tang Clan since I was 18. I'm in my mid-20s now. And this crazy thing happens where I'm in Los Angeles with the cast of the Chris Gethard Show to promote the season on True TV. And I end up in this green room with a bunch of celebrities that I'm intimidated by. And then, of course, what would throw me off even more? I'm in character, by the way. I'm the only person in the room in character. This nobody alt comedian adjacent to this show that I'm on. Um, so I'm weirding everybody out already. And then what causes me to completely lose my confidence and not want to play character anymore? Method Man from the Wu Tang Clan walks in the room, and here's some that bleed over of that antagonist relationship between me and Gethard, because he knows exactly what to say when he goes up and talks to Method Man for a little bit, and he comes back over to me and he goes, "I will never tell you what me and Method Man talked about." And I'm like, "Come on, man, please don't do this to me right now." Like, nothing made him happier in the moment than really twisting the knife on how I had lost all of my confidence when I'm usually in supreme, unbreakable confidence mode playing this character. Long story short, I ended up getting to rap the Fruit song that I wrote in front of Method Man live on the Chris Gethard Show. And during the commercial break, of all things, Method Man came up to me and complimented me in one of my favorite ways that to be complimented when I'm doing Vacation Jason or otherwise, is he said, "Yeah, when you first came out, I really didn't, or when you started rapping, like, I didn't think you would do very well, and then you kind of did." Like, I was listening to what you're saying, and you really had a good flow there, because I'm a flow guy. And that still blows my mind. That's like, I'll never forget that he just very casually said, offhandedly said, "'Cause I'm a flow guy." And I'm there watching him speak, and I'm like, "Mr. Method Man, you are the flow guy. You are the," like, I can't get into it. If you know Method Man and you know the history of his music anyway, I all of these completely outlandish things, dreams as small as, like, I really hope I get to perform my show at UCB one day. The confidence of playing this ridiculous character made that possible for me. The confidence to fight my way to become a part of my favorite show, and then to fight and, like, retain the right to play my character on that show. The confidence to rap in front of Method Man or wrestle in a ring with X-Pac. Oh my god, I didn't even talk about the time that I was given a ticket to be on the Impractical Jokers cruise, and I stayed in character as Vacation Jason the whole time. Maybe that's something I'll talk about with Gethard one day when I finally work up the nerve to invite him on this podcast. But yeah, I lived as Vacation Jason on a cruise ship for like 6 days one time, and kind of by force kind of willed myself into a situation where I was like, like a Mickey, how like a Mickey Mouse will be like walking around on Disney cruises. I decided I was going to invent Vacation Jason as a character on this cruise, and um, that ended with me receiving my own unscheduled stage performance where I performed tracks from Coconut Berry Lemon Tree live for the audience that I had kind of won over, and then I destroyed my goodwill in the final moments by by with an impromptu environmentalist speech where I said, um, "Let's protect the earth, let's protect the oceans, let's stop the offshore drilling." And then a fucking drunk guy went, "Drill, baby, drill." And I went, "Let's stop the offshore drilling. All right, thank you very much." I get off stage, and the drunkest man I've ever seen in my life walks up to me. And he's like towering over me, right? And he's like, and I'm still Vacation Jason, right? I think I would have cowered or ran away if I was Riley, but I was Vacation Jason. And he says, "My wife, she's a horse girl. She loves horses." And I go, "Okay." He was like from point A to point C to point D to point Z with all of these, like he was trying to piece together some kind of argument, but he really had a problem with me opposing offshore drilling. And he said, and that's eventually what he got around to. And he's getting a little bit more aggressive as he goes, "You can spin it any way you like. You could spin it any way you like, but," and then I said, and I mean, this is such a fucking corny line. I'm still proud of it because I came up with it right there. But I said, "Okay, you know what else is spinning, sir? The earth." And that's the last thing I allowed him to say to me was that spin thing. Anyway, shit, man. How does this relate to clown? I I I I will never feel cooler than when I am dressed and completely confident looking ridiculous. I I there's some kind of psychic alchemy that goes on with committing to these character traits to such a degree that you start thinking differently. I mean, the whole time I was on this cruise ship, I would see a live band playing and an empty dance floor, and I would just go, "Okay, well, I know that I have to be the only one dancing on this dance floor now." And I would just do it, and then a dance party would materialize around me, or I would just all of these moments of like, well, extreme I'm terrified to be on live television right now with a celebrity guest sitting right there, but Vacation Jason wouldn't mind. He would just do the bit. I don't know. Or just, man, this joke, it's too stupid, but but I know I can find a way to have fun saying it if I say it in this character's voice. So you mix that with, I guess, the demon, the psychological demon release of saying real shit that you're not supposed to say through a character voice, and that's sweetening the deal, yeah, that's a mask. That's the nose. That's the ocean potion lotion. And then, the jester, the trickster, the contrarian, and the complete obnoxious fool of it all. I mean, I really found a way to make myself and make audiences happy doing that. And and you know what? I don't know if I've ever told Vacation Jason that I love him. I love you, man. Man, we both share this physical body, but sometimes it's complicated with him. It's complicated with just all the like weird little confusion moments that I've had with people who don't know me as Riley and think that my name is Jason, or I'll tell jokes about traveling the world and they think that I've actually traveled the world. It's so ridiculous that um, you tell people that you are a certain thing and then people believe you. Who would have guessed? I'm just kind of treading water here as I try to think about shit, what else I've done. I mean, go watch Halloween Vacation on YouTube. It's the best. It's one of the best things I've ever done. It's one of my favorite songs I've ever written. And Jess Lane directed the hell out of this fucking ridiculous, corny, goofy, silly Halloween music video that we made together. Peter Pavlakis, cinematographer. All right, look. Um, well, I've done it. I did the Vacation Jason episode. Thank you for listening. I'm going to reach out to some people, see if they want to talk to me on this show. If you want to talk to me on this show, hey, email clashclownpod@gmail. Thank you for listening. And thank you for being a clown. Maybe you don't even think you are, but I know you are. And I'm going to play a little outro. And I didn't mention getting Googie one time. Get Googie. All right. Aloha.